Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Kari Warberg Block of EarthKind. Carrie, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Happy to be here.
Super excited to have you on, Carrie. And what I wanted to do was just read a little bit more about you so everybody can hear about all the awesome things that you're doing. And Carrie is an unlikely disruptor, challenged in an industry that its very nature is toxic. As the founder and CEO of EarthKind, Carrie discovered that 98% of pest control solutions sold were poison and kill methods. So she set out to invent a better solution: plant-based pet control powered by nature. Carrie was the first to develop, manufacture, and commercialize poison-free rodent and insect repellents for farm and home use, with a mission to build a purpose-led company to create change through business. Once a mom on food stamps, Carrie started EarthKind with nothing more than a package of garden seeds and a vision, and has built it into a $20 million company. Carrie was selected as Ernst Young's Entrepreneurial Winning Women, and has gone from being a part of her local homemakers club to advising the SBA, Congress, and the White House on policy that impacts women in business. She has been featured in CNBC, the New York Times, Huffington Post, and Forbes. Carrie, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I am. Let's go.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to hear a little bit more on what I call your CEO story and what led you to start your business.
Sure. I'd be so happy to. Well, I was sitting out in western North Dakota, and a mouse ran up my bare leg. Oh. I was on a date with a farmer whom I went to marry after this incident, but he asked me to start a truck. So I said, okay, I can help you. I used to drive truck. I thought, well, I'll impress the guy. Well, lo and behold, out of the floorboards, a mouse ran up my bare leg. It freaked me out. I just didn't know what to do. The truck started shaking, and I instinctively grabbed a bottle of perfume out of my purse, thinking, well, hey, I'm going to give that little sucker a headache like it's Raid or something. And I've just sprayed it all over. And the mice, there was two of them, and they ran out. He comes running up. He's like, are you okay? What's going on? He thought I was like having an epileptic attack or something. And I said, oh my gosh, there's mice in here. How gross. And by this time, I had my head covered in mouse droppings or feces because they shook out of the headliner. I was freaked out. I mean, I could still feel those little feet on my legs just talking about it now. And I go, well, what is this? And he's like, it's nice. There's nothing you can do. It's just a fact of life on the farm. Well, I ended up marrying the guy. And I really challenged the status quo on that. I'm like, you're kidding me. You can't keep them out of stuff. He goes, no, you use poison and you kill them, or you use a sticky trap. And then I'm like, yeah, how long does it take to die? And I was asking all these questions, and there really wasn't anything. And it's not like I could plug in one of those little ultrasonic things in a truck. And the damage started after I was married out there, and everything just kept getting infested no matter what we did. And I couldn't use a poison. It didn't feel right to me on every single level. So I invented a better way.
Nice. I definitely appreciate you, obviously, for creating that. I don't think I've heard a few dating stories here and there. I have not heard that dating story where it ends up turning into a multi-million-dollar company. So you definitely take the cake. You should be on the cover of whatever dating site there could be, because I think that's phenomenal. Because in true entrepreneurial form, you had an issue, but rather than just say there is no better way, it's just how it goes, you decided to actually go on and create something. So I appreciate you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And it's funny how all these years later, I did not set out to change an industry, but I knew rodents are not a sexy business, right? It's like, it's not like cover material, but, I figured a way to make it sexy, from the packaging to the smell of it to all of it. And guys don't seem to mind, and the women love it.
That's a good win-win-win, definitely. So I wanted to hear a little bit more on EarthKind and everything that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit more on what you can get, how you can, what exactly it does, and then also what you feel kind of makes you and your organization unique?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'll have to open up we're on video today, so you can kind of see. So I basically invented this product, and for anybody listening, it's a rare thing to invent something, to get it to market, and then to commercialize it and to make it into a national brand. And so, I was able to do that. And for anybody listening, it's not, I can't say I'm a genius. I mean, I had no experience. I didn't have a background. I didn't have a chemistry degree, nothing. I had a high school education. And I figured it out because I had a purpose. And just took one, step at a time. So I could say from that, what I did is I thought, well, how do I make this product really easy for people? Which turned out to be one of our main competitive advantages for our company, because nobody had really made it super easy to control a pest for people, especially that don't have knowledge of pests, right? So, which I didn't at the time. So it really, really helped me. But you just take the pouch and you put it in wherever you have the problem, and the pest leaves. And so it's really that simple. The science was a little more complex than that, but that became our competitive advantage. The other thing that became our competitive advantage was that it became sustainable. And this was way before it was cool, 10 years ago. Nobody was thinking that. Right. People heard the name EarthKind, and I actually kind of hid it below the products names because they're like, oh, well, are you a pot smoker? They thought for sure we're just this hippie chick group. But because I was a farmer, I'm thinking, hey, I might as well at least grow the ingredients and get some value added. So all the ingredients come from nature. And even the packaging is biodegradable. So that helped us, create a real competitive advantage that helped us scale to a national brand and be adopted by consumers. So easy to use, sustainable, and then the fact that it's a woman-owned company. Now, if I'm not sure if you've shared the statistics, but it is just exploding right now. The community of people in this country that want to buy from a woman-owned business. I think it was Walmart did a study and found that there was a 90% higher likelihood of a purchase by a consumer if you had woman-owned logo. Mm-hmm. And it just played well because, people will trust me and our products with their families, right, and their properties. And the other thing that really, really drove me to this was somebody had to do it, And for anybody listening, if you have that urge, something inside you that's like, I want to start my own thing, right? I would have never picked rodents. It was like not, an old perfume girl. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this. But it was a pain that nobody was solving in the world. Right. And it became a very conscious decision. Somebody has to do something about this. I'll take a step at a time and I'll try to get there. And so that's really what I did. At the time I started, 98% of everything sold to control a pest in and around a home and a farm, like for the property stuff, it was 98% toxic and kill.
Wow.
And yeah, and so I saw all this white space. Being an optimistic entrepreneur, I was like, oh my goodness, look at all this. And today it's 10% or 90%. So nice. we've moved the dial, and there's other people in it. Procter & Gamble just came into the space this year. So it's great to have that help getting the word out that there are safer options.
Yeah, that's great to hear, being an innovator and a disruptor, especially too. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about, being able to use your purchasing dollar to support whatever you wanted to, as you touched on, is like, if you want to support a woman-owned business, which is definitely growing in the number of women that are growing businesses as well. We've had infographics on our site as well that have shown that, that number is increasing, and, people want to support that. And, just using your dollar just for whatever, you now can decide like, oh, I agree with that mission, or I agree with that company, or I agree with that founder because of X, Y, and Z. So I want to actually do something to support that.
Yeah, another thing that entrepreneurs have going for them is, and especially those like with me that started with literally nothing, you can elbow grease nowadays is social media. Right? You can get out there, and we started writing educational content. So when people, this is way before anybody was doing it, people would type in, "I have mice, what do I do?" Right? They'd find our keywords, and we'd have this whole, well, you can do this, and you can do this, and you can do this. And by the time they'd get to the bottom of it, we'd show them, hey, we have a local retailer in your city called Ace Hardware. You could go buy this product. Right. So we started what they call it omni-channel nowadays, but that's how we started years and years ago, connecting the dots, again, with how do we make this so easy for a customer?
Yeah, that's what I love. Everything from, how the product works to even how it's able to be found is that it's super easy to find, because if you're searching for something like the SEO, you're searching for on Google and you find a blog post that says X, Y, and Z, this is how you do it. And then you say, oh, there's an even better way because I can just go to the store and actually have that and buy that actually does it. So I definitely appreciate that. And I wanted to switch gears a little bit and ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but something that makes you more effective and efficient.
Well, probably one of the biggest hacks that I've learned from is to only spend 20 minutes a day worrying. And so I created this habit of every morning when I get to work, or officially say I'm at my desk, right? I'd spend the first 20 minutes everything I was worried about. And then I drop it, and I could do no more than that. And it basically wiped out all my nighttime waking up going, oh, all the things that you think are going to go wrong, because there's a lot of fear on the entrepreneurial journey in the beginning, especially when everything you have is on the line and it's all very fluid. And I think it gets easier as the business grows and you have, some breadth and depth to it. But that was really transformational for me, growing it. Now the most transformational hack I have is I spend the first 5 minutes of every day before I get out of bed listing 50 things I'm grateful for.
Nice. I definitely love both of those.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times, especially with worrying, because there's so many things that pop up and are around, that a lot of times people will try to just ignore them or say they don't exist. But I love the fact that you actually list them out, because once I guess they become real and you understand that you can't do anything about them, it gets it. You correct me if I'm wrong, out of your head, off of your shoulders and all of those places. And then it's actually on that page and you can just kind of continue on with the work that you should be doing.
Yeah, and it works either way, because people that are analytical, with myself, I am. Then I start piling on. Well, then this, and then this, and then this, and all the, the mountain out of the molehill. But then you have the people that aren't analytical and are very people-oriented. Then they get the paranoia and the worry about what's this person going to say, what's this person going to think, and either way, it takes you off this rabbit hole that is non-productive.
Right, exactly. And then, definitely make that list of things to be appreciative of, and that gratitude list definitely works in the exact same way as well, too, because there's so much that we sometimes miss and don't appreciate that. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO Nugget. And this is a word of wisdom or piece of advice, or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
Well, probably one of the most powerful things I've learned that I can share with others is that 70% of all decisions made in business don't consider values. And I teach decision making to my employees, because people will, whenever somebody asks, well, how do I do this? How, there's so much this how to. If people just dial it back and go, okay, what is the reason I'm here? Like for us, let's make it easy for people when they're controlling pests. It informs every decision we make in the company, from how we go to market, how we package the product, how we are to work with, what we say on the phone, all of it. And so that alone, I wish I would have known that earlier, but it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it is it because a lot of times, and this is what I feel, but I don't know if you would feel the same way, is that there's so many things going on that when you are and have that understanding, that mission, that strong why, whether, you're any stage or part of the company, you're able to kind of understand no matter what task you're doing, how it aligns, but also, like you mentioned, if there's tough decisions, you can kind of put it against that measure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, for instance, part of our culture is about excellence.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, then we make our decisions. Okay, if that's part of our culture, we better beat the RMAs. Like, we're looking at how much do we spend on marketing versus someone else?
Mm-hmm.
How much do we make on our bottom line versus somebody in our category? So that we strive for that. So that helps inform those kind of decisions. Compassion, for instance, how we onboard people, how we handle the, if there needs to be a termination, all of that. We try to be, very compassionate at all times. So that helps inform the decisions. And those are just the values and the innovation values. So that will take away, I think, 80% of the problems a business has, just using that as a filter.
Exactly. Because just like you said, there's a lot of times you can go a lot of different ways, with how you decide or make those decisions. But if you have those core values, it's hard. I always say it's hard to lose a race if you're running your own race and you're running your race, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
So as long as you have your values and you're running and staying true to those values, it's hard to lose.
Absolutely. And I think that's why companies that consider their values and their purpose perform, I don't know what the research, 30 to 40% better.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Carrie, what does being a CEO mean to you?
So to me, the CEO is Chief Environmental Officer, right? So for me, it's about creating environments for transformation of lives and livelihoods.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense, because a lot of times you have to create that in order for you to help out your consumers, the people that are your team and everything. So I appreciate you for doing that and sharing that definition with us.
Thank you.
No problem. And I wanted to pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And then, of course, how they can find out about you and everything you're doing. And, of course, get and hear more information about EarthKind.
Sure. I am so curious what the most frequently asked question is from readers, viewers after an interview. I'd love to take a stab at that. If you know when is going to be coming up. And people can find us on EarthKind.com. Our product brands are Stay Away and Fresh Cab. And we keep pests out without poisons or without killing them. Our products are 100% guaranteed. And I'm happy to say we have amazing retail partners that believe in our mission and what we're doing. So you can find our products on all the Lowe's shelves. You can find them at all the Ace hardware stores. You can even get them at your John Deere dealer. So of course, you need it for tractors. We're in some Target stores. We're in RV and automotive and all of those. So I appreciate everybody that wants to use our products and support what we're doing. And it's our goal to reduce the amount of poisons sold for pest control to 50% by 2023. It's a tall order, considering over 100 million homes are still just using something toxic at kill because they don't know about our product or the other new ones coming out.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely appreciate your time. Appreciate you, telling your story and having such a strong mission, to help out EarthKind, but also so many other, business owners and entrepreneurs. So I definitely think, and you've definitely done a phenomenal job. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You're doing a great job too, Gresh. That's fantastic. Love this.